I have learned to just work with God and allow Him to lead me and guide me in the flow, so that I'm also sensitive to His leading and His timing of things. Not everyone is called to do that. Not everyone has the anointing to do that, because there are people who, if they go to the club and you're like, I've gone to reach out people in the club, it won't end well for them.
There are other sheep who are not part of our flock, Karimi.
Yeah.
They don't speak like us. They don't dress like us.
Yeah.
But just because they don't, do the kind of things that we do, does not make them any less of Christians than we are.
Absolutely. Just settle in the assignment and the things that God has given me to do.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, like you're saying, the kids who are coming behind me, they won't have a reference point.
Yeah.
It's disrespectful to God for you not to do the thing that He's called you to do.
We continue doing things the old way. And what can we learn? What can we learn from the practices of Jesus?
Yeah.
In terms of his engagement with the culture at that time? What does that look like now for us, who are his representatives in our culture today? Yeah. So that's what my boy was like. So that's what he's been talking about in church. Oh, this is a beautiful butterfly.
It's
massive.
It's huge, yeah?
Yeah, it's there. Butterfly anymore. Pitia tu hapa hivi usalimi wase pia. So so my boy has been talking about it, and so that's why when he was in church and he was talking about how, like, on a Tuesday after playing football, he went to the bar with some guys from the army.
Yeah.
It was like the conversations I had with those guys at the table. So they talked about anything and everything, and of course their language is very colorful.
Obvious.
And so but then they ended up having such intimate questions and conversations about Jesus Christ. In fact, they asked Chris, they're like, so what is it about you and Jesus Christ? They can't
understand.
They can't understand. Because from their background, they look down on the faith.
Right.
But they know
Our boy is.
They know about, now Chris is a pastor and him is a reverend, but he never does those
He's
things.
even a reverend.
Yes, he is. He never wears a collar, it's like he's always easy. And so he gave him an opportunity to be able to answer that question for them. Because he was like, I was once very lost, and I was angry with the world, and I was angry with God. As a young person, like, I was looking around, like, in my early 20s and trying to figure this world out and just feeling like, like, I was just angry. But somehow, I guess he met Christ along the way.
Yeah.
And he said that brought such peace to him. It doesn't mean he doesn't have questions.
Yeah.
But it helped him be the man that he is today. Yeah. If he did not go to the club with those guys, to the bar with those guys, these are conversations that zingefanyika.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you need leaders like Chris and of course people like you, who are, I don't use the word brave, or have first I feel like there needs to be a calling, like what Pete was doing. There needs to be a calling.
Peter Dara.
Yeah, because he's the one who started that.
Yes, he's the one who started this culture for us.
Culture.
Yeah.
But then not everyone is called to do that. Not everyone has the anointing to do that, because there are people who, I feel like there are pastors who, if they go to the club and you're like, I've gone to reach out people in the club, it won't end well for them.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that assignment over their lives.
Yeah.
There are pastors who, their calling is to their sheep in the church and the church space. But then there are others who are like, they are culture shapers and influencers for the kingdom of God, but in the marketplace, especially in the clubs and all that.
Yeah. Those places of entertainment.
Yeah. But then also there are those who don't have necessarily to be quote unquote pastors, but they still have that influence. So for example, the Kinakanjis, who else is a pastor and they don't know they are pastors? I mean, there are these people in the industry who are like you're a pastor, but your assignment is in that space.
It's like in a Giuliani.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, and the work still gets done.
And
but you see now in our generation, I'm just like, who's going to rise up? Yeah. Who is still carrying on? Who has been given that mantle to continue?
Yeah.
Like you now, who are you giving? Who are you handing over to?
Yeah.
To continue being the light in that space, because we do need people still who are in that quote unquote darkness.
Yeah.
But then are still able to speak the language of the people who are in that world.
Yeah.
Because you can't, I feel like what happens is that people try and go and evangelize in the club, and then you come off as being either judgmental or just triggering.
Yeah.
And people move on.
Yeah.
But I feel like also what works for you and what you're doing with that service is that you know the space.
Yeah.
Like you can go and gig at that service, but you can also do a corporate gig and people are cussing out and but they still know that Mose is a pastor.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I used to play soccer with some guys as well. For some reason, in such interesting spaces, like none of these guys were anywhere near the faith. In their language.
Yeah.
But for some reason, when you call man, Moses is different.
You see?
Yeah, he's with us. He's one of us playing football.
They toned down on the language.
No, they did not.
They did not.
No. But they just knew, say.
Yeah.
Actually, they knew that I'm a Christian, So there was always like a respect when they were talking to me, but the language was very colorful when we were playing football, But, the thing is, Karim, even for you, like one of the things I have absolutely appreciated about you is, and I've known you for many years, is this thing that you guys do called "'Tis the Season."
Yeah.
It's like one of the best undercover ministry opportunities I've come across.
Wow.
It's so, like, if I had a church.
It could be "'Tis the Season."
Hey, by the way, me, I would be there with "'Tis the Season" say. And of course, the church that's rallying behind "'Tis the Season" church times penda kujipendekeza. You guys, what you guys do with "'Tis the Season" at the end of the year for the viewers or listeners who do not know about this, it's the gig, and you can tell us more about it. It's so incredible.
Yeah.
It's so incredible and so powerful. In so many levels. Like, it's one of the realest, let me say, for lack of a better way of putting it, one of the realest and most authentic ways of sharing the gospel I've come across.
Wow. Atemi should hear you say this. I'm sure when she'll be listening, she'll be like, damn straight.
As in, for real.
Yeah.
And because you guys are there, you're in the faith, and you're doing what you love doing, which is singing, and you are an amazing vocalist.
Thank you, Mos.
And then, you're there. Yes, we're doing Christmas carols, but for you guys, it's not just about the carols.
Yeah. It's many things.
Yeah.
And I don't think we all set out, or another Atemi set out to make it that. You see, that's the beauty with things that organically form and take their place and become this thing.
Yeah.
That God wants to use. I don't think Atemi woke up and she was like, this is my whatever. Like, but
probably,
I'm going to preach the gospel. I mean, no. But with time, that's what it has become.
Yeah.
It has become a powerful tool of ministry and evangelizing.
Yes.
And I think the bigger, for me, why I love "'Tis the Season" and other gigs like that is that it also gives musicians and artists who are in the church space and still have the calling of God over their lives as creatives and musicians, both in the church and also in the marketplace, in that space, to be able to do both.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we're very, what's the word?
Boxed in and
feel like because you're a Christian, let me just put Christian. Let me use that word lightly because nowadays Christian means many things. because you're a Christian,
Yeah.
therefore there are certain things, especially as an artist or a musician, there are certain things you should not do. There are certain places you should not go.
Yeah.
There are certain songs you should not sing.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I worry about that because it's like saying, if I enter a bank,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing you ask the teller,
Umeokoka.
if they tell you Z,
Uh-huh.
will you not receive the service from them because they didn't go to church or
Yeah.
because they listened to I don't know who, Beyonce.
Yeah.
Therefore, you cannot receive us. I mean, we get so lost in things that they're important, yes.
Mm-hmm. But
they're
really,
not.
They're not. In fact, the right way of saying it, we focus on the we major on the minor.
Yeah.
Those things have no significance. They have no much value.
Yeah.
You know. But the thing that I always remember the words of Jesus Christ when he says that I have other sheep who are not part of this flock. He's telling the disciples, I have other sheep who are not part of this flock. And those guys are going to be added in. And for me, how I look at that today is there are other sheep who are not part of our flock, Karimi.
Yeah.
They don't speak like us. They don't talk like, they don't dress like us.
Yeah.
They don't listen to the kind of music that we do or do the things that we ordinarily expect people to do. But just because they don't speak, dress, listen to the kind of songs, do the kind of things that we do, does not make them any less of Christians than we are.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, I don't even think the church is ready for those guys.
100%.
And those kids or this new generation that's coming in, I have no doubt that they'll be very colorful in their language.
Yeah, even in their dressing.
Yes. Yes.
But they love God.
They love God
like
100%.
They love God 100%. And I feel like it's time we who have already gone ahead begin to create that space. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the kingdom of God is losing out. Yeah. And we ourselves, as human beings, are losing out on relationships.
Wow. Yeah.
We are losing out on community.
Yeah.
Because we are afraid to associate with something that doesn't look like us, talk like us, act like us.
Yes.
But if you look at the essence of what the gospel is and what Jesus came to establish, it's exactly that. Like, who did Jesus associate with? Yep. And that is why he was so controversial.
Yes.
And that is why the Pharisees hated his guts, because they wanted him to establish the same thing that he was doing. Yes. They wanted him to do copy-paste.
What they were doing.
And he was like, no.
You guys have completely missed the mark.
You have.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about how you told the Pharisees, you guys have the keys to the kingdom of God but you won't go in and you won't allow others to go in.
Yeah.
You get so we have those keys now. Mm-hmm. And yes, the difference is us guys have put our faith and trust in Jesus Christ, but we lock out many people from our spaces because we've set such a high bar for them to come in that they feel, I will never attain that. And yet Christ put such a low entry point for us.
Yeah.
It's all you need to do is confess and believe.
Done.
You get it's such a low entry point.
But us guys were like, okay, confess, believe, but then between there and where you need to be.
Yes. By day one, you need to be where I'm at in my faith.
Wow.
It's so unfortunate because, with Christ, the bar is so low, but he does not leave you there. You get?
Yeah.
He transforms you and he changes you as you get to know him and you grow in a relationship with him. So he does not leave the bar. He does not leave you down there. He grows with you and he helps you grow. But for us, it's the other way around. We set the bar so high, but once guys come in, it's so low.
They're like, Allah.
It's in. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a space for us to be able to, and I'm glad that you and I can have these conversations, because I think that we're in the space of entertainment. Yes, you work in the church circles, and the thing that you're doing at the church is probably something that, you do it whether or not you're getting paid.
Absolutely.
You love it.
Yeah.
And so, but the spaces that God has allowed us to be in, and even have been able to see you, like, one of my other favorite gigs that you guys used to do was at the Elephant.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you.
With Eric,
we remember that gig for the Elephant. We're just that's one of the, I can't even explain. That gig was so good. And I remember he took a break.
Yeah. The last one, I remember the Kanjo guys
They were
came.
so fire. Like the last couple of gigs that they did before now, they had to move. The place was packed. Like,
See, we were there.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric and I are boys.
Yeah, sure. And the vibe was just, it's the same thing as it is a season.
Yeah.
The vibe was just, I can't even say it's electric, because there's that aspect of it being electric, yes.
Yeah.
But it's like you're caught up in there's just something.
Yeah.
And it's a space for everyone. Like if you come and you're a believer, you will be caught up in that thing.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful,
such an amazing gig.
Yeah, like I wonder if there'll be other gigs like that. But I mean those gigs were fire.
I remember
fire.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, you're in that space.
Yeah.
You're a believer. You're not compromising on your values. And you're doing what you love and using the gift that God has given you to be able to be a blessing to people.
Yeah.
And I remember at some point, even Eric used to transition from, going into Pambio songs, like he goes into praise songs, and guys would be, the place would go like
mad, wild,
crazier. The songs that was playing before Sour, but immediately he goes to Kegosho.
Yes.
It was different.
Yeah.
And I remember one time, and I'll never forget this, and even as I do the third service, in the back of my mind, I remember during one of your gigs with Eric, Kanji was on stage and he came to do a song. And I want to say probably it was a Christmas one, so most likely it is the season. But I remember Kanji going on stage, and in his set, he finished with Jina lako nije.
Yes. And it was just, we were taken to church. On a Sunday service.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I remember looking around and seeing guys with their pints. The hand is up, holding their pint, and they're all singing Jina lako.
But that's what the gospel is, most.
That's the beauty.
That's the beauty. So I really hope that we get to do and see more of these events.
Yeah.
And have also people take up that space.
Yes.
To start creating such environments where I'm free to lift up the name of Jesus.
Yeah.
Even as I'm holding my pint.
Yes. That should not stop you.
That should not stop you.
No.
But then as you get to know this Jesus, then he'll start having a conversation with you about why this pint that is in your hand can be a good thing and a bad thing as well.
Yeah. Everything needs to be taken in moderation.
Yeah.
First, let me say, for all our viewers, I was supposed to do this earlier, but Karimi and I were in conversation. So, first, guys, it's our 40th episode. So,
chill. We are actually rolling.
Yeah.
Are we rolling? Oh my God! That's just funny.
We've been running for a while.
Box. I love it though. I love it. It's good.
Karimi. You started rolling a long time ago.
Sheesh, okay. Cool. Chai?
Unataka kuongezea chai na kuna mandazi leo. You're the only guest shake ya mandazi kwa meza.
Wacha uongo.
Hakuna mwingine, by the way. So this is episode 40. I guess that's our celebration.
Hii KDF, no, hii KDF.
Hii KDF bana.
Yeah. What do you call this? Me, I don't know.
Yeah, mandao too. Ndazi too. Yeah, but thank you so much, guys, for all the support that you've given us. 40th episode. I could not have asked for a better guest for me to have on the show. Reason being, we've been friends for over 20 years.
Absolutely.
So we met when we were like 6 years.
More.
Yeah, we met when we were 6 years old, yeah?
Yeah. I think so. I was explaining to Kate. She's like, so how did you meet Mose? I was like, well, the thing is, I don't remember.
Like, you can't pinpoint.
He's just one person I've known all my life.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say I met him in... Like, he's just been there.
We've known each other for a long time. So I'm so happy you're my guest today for the 40th episode.
Wow.
Yeah. I think 40 is a significant number.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason why Jesus Christ fasted for 40 days, 40 years in the wilderness. There are many 40s, I think. There's quite a number of 40s in the Bible, you know. And, no, I was in the ark. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights.
Wow. So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, and there are also movies around 40.
Kimos. You're so funny. Let's not talk about 40 too much.
Yeah, let's
just
not
leave
talk about it.
Because
No,
then I'll be like, how old are you? How old are you?
We're 26.
We're 26 still.
Forever.
Yeah. You're 26, me, I'm 16.
Oh, you're 16. Yeah, that's it. That's good. So for my guest for today, her name is Karimi Rimbui. You know, an amazing, let me say she's an amazing friend. You know, and she is a ridiculously gifted singer.
Thank you.
Like, ridiculously gifted singer. I don't even know if she understands how mad gifted she is. You know, but she also works at the church. She works at Nairobi Chapel. And, but, you know, it's just, won't call her pastor for now. Sorry. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I owe you chums.
You owe Oh, bring it up.
You have to tell them the funny story of why I owe you chums.
So during the teaser season it was teaser season, yeah?
Yes. Teaser season.
Last year, I told Karimi I'd like to have her on the podcast. And she's like, Mose, you're not going to have me. You forget about this thing. And I told her, we're going to make it happen. And we'll do it in the first half of the year. And she was like, no. I told her, let's put a bet. Ulieka chapa ngapi? Can you even remember?
A G, no. 5 Gs.
That's it.
Okay, the reason I did 5 Gs, I was so sure. I was like, Mose is just a sanguine. He's just talking. There's excitement. You're not going to do it.
Let me tell you.
Then I saw the content.
In fact, I think it was the same night.
Oh, wow.
I shared your contacts with Kate. I was like,
no way.
I need to have a podcast with Karimi.
That's amazing.
And I think I reminded her again in March.
Yes, and so
but this time around, like 2 weeks ago, I was like, listen, I'm not about to give Karimi 5 Gs.
Oh my God. So she's always going to give me 5 Gs.
So I will make this happen.
I'll pay you in installment.
No, you don't need to.
Z, I'm going to pay you 5K. A bet is a bet. You want the bet, so.
Okay. I'll give you a commission, Kate, to steer Shaka.
Wow.
10% ni yako.
Good job.
Yeah, but I'm so happy that you're here with me. And, you know, I guess what people do not know is that you're three siblings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm the last one of the 3.
You're the last one of the 3.
Yes.
And your family is ridiculously... I do not think people know how significant your family has been in the gospel, in the music. This is the music industry in Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's Aaron. Aaron is the firstborn. Aroro, as guys like to call him.
That's it. I don't know. I don't know.
Like, who's Aaron?
Yeah.
Aaron is there's Aaron, but I can't call him Aroro for some reason. Aroro is for the other guys. Me, I just call him Aaron. Or Kimadi. Kimadi is the one.
That's his name. Yeah.
You guys have the same name.
Yes, we do. Kimadi. We share the same name. Yeah.
So there's Aaron, and then Tim.
Yes.
And then there's myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, your brother Tim.
Uh-huh.
I cannot think about my faith and not think about Tim.
Wow.
Because as a new believer, I was invited to a gig called Rhymes of Redemption.
Yo, I think I was like 5. Like, how old was I? I don't even know what that is.
As in, I met your brother there.
What is that?
Yeah, it was a gig that used to happen at, I think it was called Silver Spoon or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember what the restaurant was called. Near View Park Towers.
Yeah.
And so I met your brother there and used to be together with Julian.
Yes.
Dr. Rekebisha.
Wow. You're chomaing. I'm not sure that I'm going to watch this and like,
chomaing.
Like, do you guys know what? Yeah.
And they had a group.
They did.
Yeah. Do you remember the name of the group?
Born Twice.
Born Twice.
Yes.
Yani, the group. So I saw them performing and I was like, these songs are so tight. And MCLC was also part of Born Twice, I think.
Wow, MCLC. Hey.
So
yes, saying things I'm like, that's a whole other world.
It's a whole other world.
About
it's a whole other world. And so I think Tim was still in high school at that time.
Yeah.
I think he was in Saints.
Yeah.
And he told me he's a producer and he started giving me his tracks to play on radio because I didn't have Kenyan gospel music.
Yeah.
But I was so happy because here they're hip hoppers. So we speak the same language. You know, they're like, I'm a virgin. I'm a virgin.
I know, right? He's like, that's natural.
It was so funny.
Producing, like Tim and Julian were well ahead of their time.
Oh, way ahead.
Well ahead of their time. The stuff that they were producing, the language they were talking. Like by the time guys were reaching where they were,
they had seen this thing Kitambo.
Yeah.
I remember, like, even for me, they helped me appreciate the hip hop Christian industry here.
Yes.
Because they were rapping at that, and actually have the first CD they ever put out.
Yeah.
Niko nayo vile tu walinipatia.
Gosh, that's amazing.
That's like
you kept it.
I kept it.
It's intact.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know when Julian is singing A Million Supus.
Yeah, so
vile mademo Nairobi ni wengi.
Supus.
That's it. Oh my gosh, this is such good. This is nostalgic, bana. So your brother,
oh my gosh,
was quite significant in my walk in the faith. Yeah,
that's cool. That's dope.
And the fact that we were boys.
Yeah.
And that's how I guess I came to know you as well. Yeah. So your family has been so significant in the music industry, and then your brother. I mean, so for guys who do not know, Tim has been. Who has he not produced?
Yeah.
In the country, that guys would think about.
Yeah.
K South.
Bamboo those days.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is endless.
It's endless.
The list is
endless. It's endless, Bana.
Yeah.
And then Aroro now with his work, even I think many people probably know him from Tusker Project fame.
Yeah.
Being the music director.
Yeah.
And the band was so sick.
Sick.
Yeah. And maybe this would even bring people closer to it. Him and BN did
recently,
a song together that, Kubaliana with them. We're all baldy locks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So how has it been for you growing with the two Jamas and who probably seem larger than life?
Well, the thing is, I have never seen my brothers as celebrities. That's
they're your brothers.
They are my brothers.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I'll ever look at them as, oh my God, it's Aroro, I need an autograph. No. They're just my older brothers. And they're also my friends.
Yeah.
It's one thing to have a sibling, but then it's another thing to have siblings who are your friends.
Yeah.
So that's the relationship that we share. I do agree, though, that there's a lot about them and how they've lived their life that I have looked up to, not only because they're older than me, but just how they have engaged with people in the industry, how they conduct their business.
Yeah.
And in that sense, yes, I'm like, wow, you guys, like sometimes I forget. It's just now when you talk to people and they're like, oh, you're Nani's sister. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I am.
Yeah.
And it's cool. It's cool to live under that, let me say,
shadow or whatever it is.
I wouldn't say shadow, under that, but not bubble, but I think it's also a privilege. Because, it's not everyone has a sibling who is larger than life or who is a superstar.
Yeah.
Because it's true. I mean, they're a big deal. And it's good to experience that aspect of their lives.
Yeah.
But then it's also good to know that, yes, you're a superstar, but then also there's a part that makes you human, which is you're my bro and you're my sister.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
How were they with you when you guys were growing up?
How was it?
How was it with you guys when you were growing up? As in,
it was just It was just kawa. It's like the way you have a relationship with your sister.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same. There was no ati. In fact, we come from a very humble background. I mean, we didn't live with a silver. It's called the silver spoon.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like our folks really went out of their way to give us the best life that they could manage and afford at that time. And for that, I'll forever be grateful.
That's what's up.
We weren't privileged in that sense. Like, it's very humble background and beginning, and they ensured that we get the best of everything that they were able to give us at that time. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I guess we turned out.
And did you guys, were your parents, because you're all musical, were your parents into music?
I would say they were intentional. My dad, I think now that we are older, that's when we get to realize that perhaps my dad is the creative of the family.
Qualify the statement.
I think. My dad used to play the acoustic guitar. I remember him, and he did have one. And he's musically inclined that way. Like until to date, my dad is constantly playing music loudly in the car, like his choirs. And then my mom is always the one who's like, it's too loud. He's always been a lover of it. Like he's always had collections of records when we were growing up. I mean, that's him.
Yeah.
He's a writer. He's always writing books and creating content. So that's, I think my dad has his son who's wired that way.
Yeah.
As the creative. My mom is just a bit more scientific. She's very proper and but they have a beautiful relationship in that sense.
It's so interesting.
But she still appreciates.
Yeah.
She still appreciates the creative and the colorful side and world of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then growing up also, I think what nurtured our musical talent is that they were intentional, that during the holidays you will be in church. It was not a conversation. I mean, it was not authoritative, but we just knew when there's time.
Yeah.
Of course, you'll get to do your other things like homework, etc. But you'll also be in church so that your time is constructive.
Yeah.
I remember my dad also used to ensure that we were writing stories, and like he nurtured the creative talent that way. So he made us write a story, or we were writing stuff, creating stories in our heads and writing them. I think there's once even he made us translate, these Meru folk tales, but then now write that in English or try and...
What? That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hey.
Because we grew up talking Kimeru.
Yeah.
Our first yeah.
Wow.
They used to talk to, until today, they still talk to us in Kimeru. Then we respond in English, because the first language we spoke in the house was not English.
It was Kimeru.
It was Kimeru. But now you ask me. In Kimeru, I'll be like, Gote manto.
Yeah.
The end.
But you can hear.
I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
Kimeru perfectly.
Understand.
I mean, there's some things I can say.
Yeah.
But I'm not as fluent as I was when I was a small girl.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Because we get caught up with the with the city life.
The city life, yeah.
And your neighbors, you don't have many neighbors who are probably Meru.
Yeah, and then also you lose ties with your cousins and people, house managers who used to talk, your language fluently.
Yeah.
So the more you stay in the city, you lose that aspect of who you are.
That's so interesting that he made you guys write Meru folk tales into...
Translate into English. Yeah.
Did you guys have the story for the ogre? You probably did.
Maybe you did.
Yeah.
But then also, also you did. Our grandparents used to tell us those stories when we used to go to shags.
Yeah.
So, yeah, life has changed. I miss those days. I really do. It was so much fun to be in shags.
Yeah.
Over the holidays, because you'd get to spend time with your cousins, but then also spend time with your grandparents.
Yes.
And there was a story every evening, even if you used to hear it all the time. But
this is such nostalgia.
It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
There's a story to be told every evening.
Because I used to do that as well.
Yeah.
I used to do that as well. And now, you guys are there. You've grown up in this space for, I guess it's interesting that your parents allowed you to go to church. And I'm assuming that that's where the music interest grew.
Yeah. So my music, I'd say my music nurturing and talent is primarily from the church space. Because I started singing, obviously, through Sunday school. But it's that thing for, okay, every Sunday school child can sing.
Yeah.
But then the older you get, you're like, And then the more you have your parents, friends, and people, your peers telling you, I think you can actually sing well. And then it becomes now, the more you do something, the more you become better at it.
Yeah.
So that's typically how I started singing in the church space. But then later on, now my singing got morphed with acting.
Yeah.
Also now in the church space. Because we used to produce, can you imagine we started producing and writing plays as teenagers at Lavington?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Lavington United?
Yeah. So that's now the exposure came from there because we are now not only participating, we now started producing and creating these plays at a very young age. And so, of course, the rest is history. At Lavington, connected with Sterling Q, the Oyers, which then the Sterling Quality, we remember, became its own entity that also at its time was doing this out-of-the-world productions that I don't think we'll ever get to see again. Not unless they come back and they produce or somebody else does. But now my love for theatre and music combined that way.
Yeah.
And then after that, let's just say it took another life. Music, acting, church, those three worlds came together from a young age until today.
Did you used to act with Sterling Q?
I did more. I have several musicals.
Did you do Luanda Magere with them?
I did.
I
did Luanda Magere. I did Fiddler. I did Sound of Music. I did. Gosh, I've done so many.
Joseph
was the only one I didn't do. So the first time I saw a Sterling Q musical was Sarafina.
Oh yes.
So wait. So when Aaron was in IB, ahead of me, they did Sarafina when they were in IB. And then I went to watch it at Saints. And I was like, my God, I must be on the stage.
Yes.
I'm like, it is a must.
Yes.
The next, like, my love for musical theatre began. I was exposed that way. So I used to go for Saints plays, etc. Because now we were doing that stuff at church.
Yeah.
So I guess now Sterling Q decided to do Sarafina amongst the musicals that they were doing.
Yeah.
I wasn't on stage. Because I was still young. I was still in school. So I remember I went and watched the play, Sarafina at KNT.
Yeah.
And I was like, the next Sterling Q musical, I will audition. It is a must. It was so good. I remember Mkamze was Sarafina Chow.
I was there for the play.
Gosh, I was like, what is this?
I'm watching and thinking,
that was Chow. Chow was Sarafina, Anyway.
Man.
So after that, I auditioned and I joined Sterling Q and we began doing a series of musicals.
Yeah.
I
mean, Sarafina was one of the best productions I have been to. And let me just say, Sterling Q did amazing productions.
Yeah, they did.
The two that are definitely stand out for me is Sarafina and Luanda Magere.
Yeah, Man of Stone, yeah.
That was Goi was... Goi was Luanda Magere. Yes! Oh, man!
So funny story. You had forgotten that part. Yes. So I remember I auditioned for that role. And girls wanted that role a lot. I mean, who doesn't want to confuse a pastor who has dreadlocks?
Yes. Yes. And that time Goi was single.
Goi was single. He had locks. He was the it. He was the guy in the circles. Shucks. He was the man everyone wanted anyway. So, gosh, we are talking about Goi.
It's okay. Remember, because I was doing Kubamba with Goi at that time.
So, he looked like the Samson.
He had to grow the beard.
He had to grow the beard and then the locks. He just looked, anyway. So, I didn't know at the time, though.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I knew it was Goi who was going to get that role. I think there was somebody else who was auditioning.
Yeah.
It turns out Goi gets the role. I get the role, and then June Gashui was his wife. And then I got to play Chepto, who was now the one who came and confused things in the formula.
Wait.
It was so much fun. I remember there was a play, there was a a song that we had to do.
Yeah.
It's called Dance of the Veils. Yeah. Basically, in that scene, it was like the seduction scene. Like, in the story of Samson and Delilah.
Yeah.
What that scene was.
Yeah.
So remember the first choreography that we had to do. We had to have we had to meet Nyumaya tent with Goi. For hey, this is a lot. Are we ready to do this? We were like, cool. Let's go. Let's do it.
Man.
Yeah, but that's the beauty of acting.
Yes.
Like you get to pack yourself as your person, and you take on
this character.
That their story must be shared.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we decided to do. We're like, okay, now you're no longer Goi. You're no longer my sis, Karimi. You're Chepto, I'm Luanda. Let's do this. Cool. We shook hands. And the rest is history.
Was it weird?
I think the first few scenes of blocking was weird. Because I'm like, wait, I'm actually seducing Goi.
Yeah.
And I'm practically wearing almost nothing. But then
I remember the
outfits. I saw many of those moments of in and out of reality.
Yeah.
Wait, this is Goi, this is me. Then I have to tell myself, okay, focus.
Yeah.
Let's proceed.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy the things that arts make us do.
Yani? Hey. Amongst many other stories that I will not share on this platform.
But you anyway. But you share, and I'm like, Karimi, I know Sterling Q, and unfortunately we lost Michael Oyer, who was quite significant when it comes to theater.
Yeah.
That thing does not need to die. We need to tell our stories.
Right.
We need to have our production. So like abroad, can you believe they're still acting Lion King in the theaters today?
Absolutely, yeah.
And each gig it's sold out.
Yeah.
How many years later? 30 years later. But we have these amazing stories like Luanda Magere. We have our own story of Giko and Mombi. It's not as dramatic, but as that one is. But we have the story of Akina, is it Loibon? We need to tell our own stories. Yeah, whether it's the one for Akina Mugash that they did about Akina Tomboy and things like that. Like
and so it's coming back.
Yeah, like Sarafina.
It's coming back, yeah.
We need to own that because it's our history. We need to have stories about Akina Dedan Kimathi and us guys acting it out and telling those stories, because if we don't do that, I keep thinking like now Akina Kate, who are the generation after us guys.
Yes.
They won't remember those guys. That's how we end up losing our roots, because we forget.
Yeah.
We forget where we came from.
Yeah.
And I think that's why maybe something like Hamilton is such a big deal in the US.
Yeah.
Because it carries their history.
Yeah.
Now we need to keep
doing
these productions going on.
I know. I'm like, guys, the guys who are listening out there.
I think the person talking to me right now.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But Moz, I think the unfortunate thing is back to the age-old story of budget or funding.
Yeah.
Because these things also, they're not cheap to do.
They cost, yeah.
They cost. But, I feel like where there's a vision, the money follows vision.
Yeah.
So, let's do it.
I think...
Money follows vision. If there's a vision, funding should not be
an issue.
Like the other day, I was at... the War Festival, the one that Rock did, their live recording. Those guys, I can't even explain. They're out of this world. Like what Kina Rock are doing, Kina Njoki, Eugene, that whole worship team. It's amazing. Yeah. It's just amazing what they're doing, and the gifting that God has put in this generation, not only in the music space, in the church, but also outside. The talent that's coming right now, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But then what Rev Julian was challenging people in the marketplace and people who have the ability to sponsor and to fund is that I think the conversation that we're having about how bottlenecks have been created in the industry, both for the people who are the talent, but then also for the gatekeepers, is that we need to come together. We need to come together and ask ourselves, what is the agenda? If the agenda is the kingdom of God, if the agenda, like you're saying, is longevity and legacy, then we need to come together and ensure that that happens. And so if you know that you can fund, let's say, for example, a live recording, and you say, I'll pay for the camera work, and then somebody else comes and says, I'll pay for, I don't know, pre-production or post-production. That way, some of these things that you're saying,
they can be done.
But the challenge is that there are too many silos. There are too many silos. There are too many there's a lot of self-interest. And people don't want to bring each other up and to help each other. But I feel like this thing that you're saying we must keep doing, people must come together. We must come together and decide what do we want to achieve.
You know, right now, as you're talking, I think it's like I got is it called an epiphany? And I was thinking, like, now, Karim, we have these churches that are built. Amazing spaces. Everything is there. They've been equipped with everything. Instruments, doe, big stage things, lights, zote ziko. They're only used on Sundays. Can you imagine we have this whole investment that's only used once a week? Once a week. And yet we know we don't have enough theaters. When you're thinking about a production, you have to start thinking about lights. Sound.
How much can I even afford to pay for the location?
Exactly. And you see, this is how we need to start thinking differently as a body of believers and start saying, this space that we have, let us make it available to the community. So that we allow the talents to come out. So I wish like now the next one, Namagera, was probably, Pastor Nick, I'm going to throw you under the bus.
Do it.
Like a chapel.
Chapel,
where there's a huge stage. The place is fully kitted. And we have that as we know, we're like, for the next 1 month.
It's showing.
This production is going to be happening, including on Sundays journey, because church is only in the morning. Sunday evenings, there's nothing. Think about if we had this kind of things happening. Then the church becomes the hub of the community.
Right. Wow. As opposed to this, it's only for the Sunday experience.
It's such a waste of resources. I'm sure, man, I'm like, I don't think that's a wise investment of resources, I'm like, kama vyombo zinaharibika, wacha ziharibike kwa sababu zilikuwa zinatumika. For the right reason. Which is why we bought the equipment in the first place. So so creative stops struggling, wondering, I need to hire a theater. I need to hire the backline. I need to hire cameras. I need to hire lights. I need to do all these things. For me to go do a play or for us to be able to have a musical experience. Because these things we have been blessed with. Nani congregation imetoa chapa za kununua hizo vitu. You get? So I do think that that's a great space where as a
there's
church,
more that can be done.
We can be able to do more than we're actually doing right now. And like now you find like, for you being one of the most significant, the space that you hold even in the church, and the space that you have in the creative space is quite significant. And we don't have menus.
Wow, okay.
It's the truth. We don't have menus. And I'm not saying this, wanasema kupaka chupa, mafuta mgongoni. That's not what I'm doing. It's the truth. Do you feel as though there is a limitation that has been placed not just on creatives, but let me back up and I'll tell you why I'm saying this. So over the last 2 weeks at the K Crew Bible study, you know how you hear once the Lord has spoken, twice I've heard. 2 different guys, like 2 different weeks on Wednesdays. So one this Wednesday and then this other guy the following Wednesday. So as the guy is speaking, he's like, I want to speak to the women. It was not even part of his sermon. I want to speak to the women. And he goes and he calls out the women and he says, man, you guys need to rise up. Stop looking down on yourself. And the church, we need to stop treating women as though they're second-class citizens. I'm paraphrasing what he was saying. And he was saying that if God could trust his son to be carried by a woman, who are we to say that women should not do certain things? if God could entrust the first person to go and say he's risen
yes,
is a woman,
yes,
who are we to say that women should not be allowed to take the pulpit and speak or to take up positions of leadership? That's 1 week.
yeah,
The following week, another guy comes and not related with the first guy.
wow,
And then after he had finished speaking and he said, I want to pray. Then he says, I want to speak to the women. It's your time to rise up. It's a time for you guys to rise up to do what God has called you to do.
Yeah.
So the message is very clear.
Yeah.
So now here you are.
Wow.
Do you feel as though in ministry that we have completely undervalued the significance of women?
Amen. Yeah.
Tumesema tu job yenu ni kuwa ushers.
Absolutely. I feel though that there has been significant improvement. Let me put it that way. Improvement.
Yeah.
But still, when you look at the role of, or this, let me put it, the seriousness of what a woman's voice should be, look like, and the seriousness in which it's taken, I think there's still some work to be done.
Yeah.
I think the nature of how the value of a woman's voice in leadership, especially in the church, I would hate to say it's still very patriarchal. Let me put it that way. There are still structures there that promote patriarchy that are not healthy.
Yeah.
But then again, I would also like to say that when you look at the lens of how we live out our Christianity or our understanding of what the gospel should look like, there are many layers there where there's upbringing.
Yeah.
Like how we were cultured and brought up in the church, the home. There's also another layer of how women, especially in the African context, were trained and brought up either by their mothers, their aunties, etc. In different, let me say, traditionally. So that's another layer, and how a woman has been brought up and how you perceive yourself, depending on how you are brought up.
Yeah.
And so when that now is carried either by the woman or also by the men in the society, and it's played out in the church context, it's a hodgepodge of very many things that need to be, let me say, reworked. Or at least people need to start having those conversations and realizing that, yes, there's a place for women to lead. There's a place for a woman's voice to be heard. There's a place for a woman's voice to take on significant leadership in the church. Because I think all along, at least for me, I grew up seeing that leadership in the church context is only for men.
Yeah.
Which is not true. And I've had to undo a lot of that. The more my relationship with God grows.
Yeah.
And also the more exposed I get to what is a woman's role in leadership in different aspects of society.
Yeah.
That yes, there's a place for a woman to be a leader in the corporate sector, but there's also a place for a woman to be a leader and her voice to be heard, even in the church.
Yeah.
And so I do agree with you completely that yes, women need to rise up.
Yeah.
We need to rise up.
Yeah.
In all spaces, not just in the church leadership or the church space, but everywhere God has given you an assignment and a calling, we need to take space. And it's me also speaking to the choir.
Yeah.
I'm now telling myself, I've been challenging myself to take up more space. And to not be afraid, to just do things afraid, to just settle in the assignment and the things that God has given me to do.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, like you're saying, the kids who are coming behind me, they won't have a reference point.
Yeah.
And also their light, I'll be dimming their light without knowing because I'm not doing the thing that God has called me to do.
Yeah.
So woe unto me if I don't occupy my space. Like Kate was, we're having a conversation. We met with Kate just to talk about, the podcast and all that stuff. And she was like, a friend of hers was saying how it's disrespectful to God for you not to do the thing that He's called you to do. Disrespectful.
Wow.
That's a huge statement. Like if you're sitting on your assignment,
It's contempt.
Like it's almost like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you not
Yeah.
do the thing that I've charged you to do? I've gifted you. Like you have no excuse. So I went home thinking hard. I was like, it is disrespectful to God for me not to do the things that He has called me to do. That statement it has significantly altered a few things.
Even now, as you're saying it, I'm like,
yeah,
shucks. That's a powerful way to look at it.
So yeah,
even to me.
Yeah.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow. You're talking to yourself, but to me.
Yeah. So I think for me, when I look back at my leadership journey as a woman in the church space, and now it's when I would say it's taking shape.
Yeah.
I think before, if I look at my journey in ministry, God is a God of order. Like God is not chaotic in how He does things. So my ministry journey, a good chunk of my ministry journey was forged and shaped in the Mavuno space.
Yeah.
So I started my ministry journey as an intern at Mavuno Downtown. And then let me backtrack. So initially, I didn't want to do anything in typical. I mean, I know how people are like, me, church, never. I actually wanted to go into the marketplace. I wanted to do journalism, media. That is where I was headed.
Which is what you studied.
Which is what I studied.
Yeah.
But then I think God set me up. So at the time when Mavuno Downtown was starting, Pastor Kiama, I've looked up to him, he's one of my mentors.
Yeah.
And you know how Kiama at the time, he was excellent in the same model. He used to reach out to a small group of young people who he could see there's something here, puts all of them together and pours into them. So he used to have this thing for pizza and juice, like consistently.
Yeah.
Like now he'd use that small discipleship group, and which is actually how he started the model for planting downtown. Because now, he's come to Daystar, ETC, he used to meet at Professional Center.
Yes,
remember.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. And keeping it real, that meeting became Mavuno Downtown.
Yeah.
And that's how we started downtown. So before I knew it, he was like, oh, hey, downtown is starting. Would you like to be one of the interns?
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, I think this is a trap, but let me just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? I mean, either way, it's just a couple of months.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was just about to finish Daystar. So I was like, cool, why not? Let me do it. The rest is history. I just got fully immersed in ministry. And now ended up being in Mavuno, where I served until 2013. And when I look back, I would say God was doing something in my life during that time in Mavuno. He opened my eyes to the possibilities of being a full-time, I mean, not use the word pastor, but a full-time church worker. I don't know if that's the word. I don't know what's there. But just to be involved in ministry, whether as a pastor or even, let me say, a lay person.
Yeah.
But then now when I look back, I'm like, you know what? It's not too bad. It's not.
When you look back.
When I look back, I'm like, I see the hand of God in my life. Sometimes I fail to recognize the intention in which He does things. But now I think also coming of age and just realizing how God does things, He's very intentional with my life. And I'm glad that I got to experience both the good things and the bad things of ministry at that time, because it was an incubation season. There are certain things that He was putting in place for me now to take on my new assignment, not only now at chapel, but wherever else he plants me. And so that foundation that he placed, and then also looking back, like I had mentioned, I think I also did start my ministry journey as a child. It's just that I didn't know, because for me, I have grown up in the church space. But then now as a mature person, as an adult, as a grown human being, I can't run away from the reality that as I've tried to run away from ministry for the longest time, but now I've accepted that it's part of my story, and it's part of my journey, and I'm embracing it for what it is.
So when you say you've tried to escape from the, from the space of ministry, what does that
look like? Escaping first is being in denial that it should not be who you should be. That's, when you're split, when you're not sure, is this for me, is this not for me, that already is escaping.
It's a battle though.
You're
trying to decide,
should I it means that there's a oneness in you. There's something about you that is conflicted. And I feel like my first experience in ministry was that I wasn't very sure. Should I not be? Is this for me? I was still asking questions, which is okay, because I mean, it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to be conflicted about stuff. Because in the questioning, that's where you get answers eventually. But then I did take some time off ministry after Mavuno, just to pause and just ask myself, okay, the way you do what do you call an auditing, self-audit.
You call yourself to a meeting.
Now we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think? And it was in that pause that I did have several conversations with myself and also with God and people in my life. And I was like, you know what? God, if you open another door for me to do ministry, it needs to be clear. It needs to be clear that this is what you're calling me to do. For real. It won't be from a place of pressure. Like, it needs to be clear that this is what you're asking me to do. And I will do ministry differently. Should you open that door for me the next time? And he answered that prayer. He has done exactly that. Like, I think this new season of ministry for me is very light. I don't feel like I'm struggling. I don't feel like I'm working hard. Like, it just feels lighter. It feels fresher. I mean, the challenges of being in ministry, like any other job, exist. I won't deny. But it's how I'm showing up as myself. Because now I have made peace with the fact that this thing,
this is it.
This is for me. And I like it and I love it.
That's what's up, Anna. So for those who are watching, what's your role at Nairobi Chapel?
So currently I lead the worship ministry, and I also lead creative. Which more or less is everything we've been talking. It's been my life. Worship ministry has been something that I've always loved and enjoyed doing. Not only because I can sing and I love to lead worship, but also because I love leading and serving with worship teams. Like, there's just something about the worship ministry that I enjoy. I enjoy getting to see what also that it does for people, like those who serve in worship teams. Like, by the time you see somebody who comes onto a team and they are either timid or they're not sure they can sing. And I mean, it's just different. You see how life plays out. The stories of different people who I have get to see flourish and become either gifted now, actual musicians who joined the team and they were like completely somebody else. And just seeing that growth into this person,
out of their shell.
Like, wow, that's amazing. So those are some of the things also I love to just watch from a distance and be like, wow, you've grown. Or wow, you've changed. Or
and that's beautiful. Now, I'm going to ask you this because I'm not doing solely like Kizushi, but tumeongea sana that you're very good with singing.
Yeah, I know this is where you are going.
Hey, no, I'm like,
everyone is waiting for the music.
Yes.
Everyone is waiting for the album.
When is it dropping?
So I did, can you imagine, in 2016, I did a song.
2016.
I told you I took a break
Yeah.
around when I left Mavuno. So I did 2 songs. So Rebecca did Rebecca Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
We did a song with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Never Let Me Go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did now my own song, RK produced for me. It's called Niwewe Tu.
Robert Kamanzi, yes. The real RK.
RK.
Yeah.
Just before now he relocated.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so those 2 songs, I never really pushed them, but they exist. They're in, can you imagine? I tried to get some of these people to play them.
Yeah.
In the radio stations, but
some of these people.
You know what? Like, but as we mentioned, those days there were many bottlenecks and see God. I had to wait for almost how many years later?
8 years later, sitting on a podcast.
I tried to get some people names withheld.
Yeah.
To push this thing and but I guess to not time. So to answer your question, the time has not been right.
Okay.
Everything happens in its time.
In its time, yeah.
So I sense that it is time and I'm working towards that.
That's awesome, Bana.
Yeah.
Because what kind of genre, like, is it going to be?
You don't tell people.
Okay, so we'll wait for it.
Just
we'll
wait.
wait for it. We'll wait for it, Bana. I'm ready. I'm just ready to be part of this journey. Because you're one of the few guys I've always wondered for the longest time, why don't we have Karimi's music?
I know, right?
Yeah, because in all the spaces, all the spaces that God has allowed you to be at.
Yeah.
For some reason, your light shines bright.
Oh, thank you.
Lakini
bado
kulingana na mazungu vile nani alikuambia
disrespectful.
Hey.
Anyway, but the music is in the pipeline.
Okay.
The plans are in the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I'm trusting God that very soon.
We just need to get to the right producer.
Very soon.
Please just allow me to a small part in it. Just let me
take it away.
I will force myself into this
Take
mix.
it away.
Because we need to get to the right producer.
Go for it.
Who bring the best out of, because we don't have RK right now.
You see, and that's what you see. And then it's so interesting that when I was just making the connection with RK, he was leaving the country. So we couldn't continue.
I think you need to take a sabbatical and go to California, be with RK and record the music from there.
Sabbatical.
It's actually not even a sabbatical.
You take a sabbatical after
because you'll be working. You still be working, doing what God has called you to do. We do need to get you a good producer because I think a producer matters a lot.
Over to you, Moz. Do you.
We'll sit down. We'll sit down and have another conversation about this.
Yeah, but I think the pressure of feeling like, oh my God, it's my time. Oh my God, it's music. Everyone is doing a live recording. Everyone is doing.
Don't even go down that road.
Yeah, I think that has not. It has never been me.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I do agree that at some point I was almost letting myself get to that place based on, like, now you're saying people are like, oh, Karimi, where's your music? How come you've not done? When is your live recording? When are you? But then I've learned to just still myself and just know that everything happens in its time and it's not my time. And you always know when it's not your time because it becomes a struggle to do even the things that should not be like, it almost feels like it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's things are not aligned.
Yeah.
And so I have learned to just work with God and allow him to lead me and guide me in the flow so that I'm also what's the word? Sensitive to his leading and his timing of things.
Yeah.
So when it's time,
I can't wait.
When it's time, it will be time.
All I want to tell you is, uko na mafans.
When it's time, it will be time.
Sisi tutasubiri
and
tu.
I can feel it. It's almost time.
I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
But this has been good, yo.
Thank you for finally doing this.
Oh, man.
It's been amazing. I've had such good vibes.
Oh man, this is so easy. It's so easy having a conversation with you. I guess because we've been good friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And again, for me, I'm excited about that album when it's coming out.
Yeah.
But even the position that you actually do have right now, even at Nairobi Chapel, and the opportunity to be able to influence the lives of many, whether you're leading us through worship or nurturing talent, encouraging people to come out of their shells. But actually, even what lies, I think from the conversation that we're having even right now, I feel like there's a lot more that will come out over the next couple of of months, years, even as you embrace the leadership and the gifting that God has given you as you walk in obedience. Man, I can't wait, Karimi, just thinking about what lies ahead. For me, I'm excited. We'll talk about some outside the camera.
Nyuma ya tent.
Nyuma ya tent. Ndio sasa, nyuma ya tent. Yeah, man. But thank you so much for joining me today for the pod.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been episode 40.
Did
you know it was episode 40?
No. Like,
wow.
I'm telling you, it sunk in. As Kate was telling me, I was like, wow, it's episode 40.
Yeah.
You never really get to, this thing that started just, ilianza tu kimchezo. We're like, let's go ahead and do it. And I remember when we did the first episode, I didn't even have the name for the podcast. I had a couple of names.
Really?
Yeah. I had never settled on any until when we sat down and I was like, welcome to the DJ Mo's podcast.
That's amazing.
That was not even an option of one of the names that I had.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy that, 40 episodes later, this is God's faithfulness. CBD yangu.
Yeah.
But I've been truly privileged to be able to have conversations with great guests, such deep insights. I keep meeting with guys on Ananiambia, man, Mo's, your podcast. So, So for all those guys, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. As in, on behalf of myself and the team working behind the scenes, we are extremely grateful. Thank you, Karimi.
Awesome. Nyuma ya tent.
Nyuma ya tent.
Let's take this meeting. Nyuma ya tent.
Guys, go ahead, like, subscribe to Fadhali. Go ahead and share it together with your friends and your loved ones. We are deeply appreciative of each and every one of you. My guest today has been Karimi Rimbui, an absolutely amazing person. Not even just from her gifts, just who she is as a person. And I'm so happy we've been friends for such a long time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
To 40 more.
Yeah?
40 more years.
40 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So episode 40 utakuwa hapa.
80.
Utakuwa hapa.
Yes.
So hiyo itakuwa ni listening party. Yeah, album, sindio? Now we have a gift for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing Kate over there has a gift for you because you are a great guest that we absolutely appreciate.
So cool.
So this is coming. It's coming your way.
Thank you.
We love you guys.